Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Some big games happened this weekend. Hope your team won and you enjoyed the games. You know, I love football so much because it really shows that true passion for what it is that you do. You know, I remember playing on the field during some championship games, and, you know, that's where it all is on the line and you give it all you got. And so hats off to all the teams that won, and also hats off to all the teams that just came up a little shy. But today we're talking about bettering your best. And now this is one of my favorite concepts because, honestly, we are the only beings on this earth that have choice of being the best that we are, right? I mean, how tall does a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can, right? And we look at any type of being or life form on this earth, and we are the only ones as humans that have the choice of how far we want to grow. And so as Keith gets ready to get on here, I'm going to go ahead and invite him, make sure he jumps on. We're going to be talking about bettering your best because, honestly, where are you right now on your journey? And each and every day that I look at my journey, I start off with my little daily devotional. And today it talked about trusting in God and trusting in the Lord and being open to receiving the opportunities that come along the way. And a lot of times we think we're in control, but we're so far from control. Our duty is to be our best, right? And so wherever we are right now, being our best. And so how do you better your best? Well, you have to do it by measuring what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. Because if you don't have it measurable, then how are you going to adjust whatever needs to be adjusted going forward? So that's one way to do it. The second way to do it is by surrounding yourself with people that are going to give you that constructive criticism. That's not going to give you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear, right? And whether or not you're showing up at 100%. See, this thing called free will, it can be a blessing and it can be a curse at the same time. And one of the things that I remind myself of is that I'm not going to be perfect. I know this. I'm not going to be perfect. However, I can be present. I can be present and I can be open to receiving the blessings that each day has has in store for me, right? And so that's what's so awesome about this. Welcome, Neil. What's up? Tim, Tina, all the way from Canada. How you doing? Walt Boogie, what's going on, brother? One of my former teammates, man. And we had a lot of fun, didn't we, Walt? Awesome. Dustin, what's going on? So as we're talking about bettering our best, I just want to hear from a few of you. Comment below, when have you realized that you weren't working at your best, or what have you found to better your best? Go ahead and comment below as we wait here for Keith to jump on, you know, because this is something we have to reflect on each and every day, right? Is bettering our best. I guarantee you right now, there's some athletes that played last night that are thinking about, did they play to their best ability last night? Did they make mistakes that could have been not made, right? Based on where they were, situational, whether they trained or they worked on a certain aspect of their game and they didn't show up being there. Awesome. Forgive your faults. Huge. And that's one thing that an athlete's going to do, right? Is going to forgive themselves, right? It's going to say, okay, well, what am I going to do about it going forward? Because that's all that matters, is what actions are you going to take once you realize that you can better your best, right? And once you have that belief of bettering your best. And so that's the wonderful thing about life, is that we always get to adjust and readjust. Shabazz, what's going on, brother? So, you know, when we're talking about bettering our best, I just want to hear from a few more of you. What have you done to better your best? What have you done as a practice to make your actions measurable? Right? What have you done? Have you written those goals down? Have you written the activities that you accomplished yesterday down and wrote down your results? Right? And now you can go ahead and you can better whatever results that you had, because now you have something to measure them to. Go ahead, Shabazz. What's up, man? Now, this man right here, I love Shabazz, bro. You be killing it, man. You're online, you're crushing it with the singing, and I just truly love it, man, because you get out there and you just let it go, and it's so awesome, man. You're so talented, brother. Keep it rocking, man. It's good to see you. So, as we're talking about bettering our best, you know, I think about being a parent. Right? And I see where the direction of my children's lives are going. And whether it be doing their homework in the present time that I spend with my 8-year-old, or just working on a routine for my 3-year-old, because, you know, being being around him so much, it can easily fall into just play all day and really no structure of learning, right? And so where can I better my best in regards to parenting and making sure that I'm getting in those life skills with him? And, as he goes to school this upcoming year, what is it that I can prepare him for? Shauna, listening to her body, knowing when to push harder or slow it down. Faster is not always better. Awesome point. When I got back from Arizona last week, I had to literally slow it down. I felt my body asking me to slow down. And there's times where either that's, comfort or that is actually the time for me to slow it down. And so when you gauge when it's time to slow down, you do have to listen to your body. You have to listen to, whether or not you're showing up at your best or at 80%. And we always talked about it, in sports. If you're not going 100%, that's where you're going to get hurt. Right? And so always give 100% effort. I love that. Listening to your body is huge, and listen to the results. Okay. Listen to the results. And so if you're pushing yourself too much, it may be just too much, right? So just think about that. Awesome. Cam, welcome, man. Thanks for the like, brother. I love that. I love that. Brent, what's up, man? Brent and I crushed chest this morning, man. We crushed it this morning. We had this new training program, and we really, really pushed ourselves this morning. It felt great. It really did. And that's where you say, you know what? Yes, I gave it my best effort this morning, and tomorrow I will better it. Trevor, what's going on, man? So let me see where Keith is right now. I want to go ahead and bring him on here. Hopefully he's available. Let's go, Keith. Invited you, brother. So, Walt Boogie, when I worked out with you, brother, Saturday, I realized I need to better my best. When it comes to my health, because I tapped out, but my son got me through it. Worked out. Oh, right on. See? Exactly. See? So now you can adjust that and you can say, okay, where did I come up short? Was it in my meal preps before, right? What did I eat before? Number one. Fueling that exercise and fueling that activity, and then also making sure you're hydrated. That's huge too. And so those small areas can definitely improve that. And that's something that we have to recognize all the time is where can I be better, right? Awesome. Chris, what's going on? And so another thing that I actually work on a day-to-day basis is being prayed up. Right. And so I pray a lot, and I don't ever push religion on anyone. I'm a strong believer in the Lord, and I put in the middle of everything I do. And I'm not ashamed to say that because there's a lot of things in life that I know I cannot control. However, I do ask him for the strength and the ability to go through the things that I can control. And see the difference between can and will are a big difference. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Here comes Keith. Awesome. Let's do it. When you can do it, right, it's the ability that you have to do it. Now, will is a whole different animal, right? Because I will do it is when you're going to do it even though it may be difficult. So what's going on, Keith? We're talking about the difference between bettering your best and will and can. The biggest difference between I will and I can. The Lord knows we can, but we only know what we're willing to go through in regards to the pain to better our best.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you can read a clock. Because we're getting some feedback. You hear that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not, I don't know if it's on my end. I'm just starting on the computer, on my phone.
Yeah, so I was actually working here, and I turned around, and Paxton goes, "You jumping on live?" I was like, "Oh, damn." We got so beat up last week, man. I'm working on getting back and bettering my best. When I think about that, and I think about bettering my actual best, that is my reminder to wake up every day with a clean slate, only competing with who I was yesterday, knowing that I can always be better. And I always remember that equation you gave us, Aaron. If you could be 1% better every single day for an entire year, you'd be over 365% better than you were the year before. And you can always build on that. So even if it's just 1%, well, what I look at is I look at that 2 millimeter adjustment, that thing that you can do, that one tiny adjustment. It doesn't take much, and what I believe isn't a ton of work. It really isn't. It's a simple adjustment in order to align yourself with or realign yourself with what you were currently doing, but do it better. And the only way you can do that is to have a set of measurement tools or a process that you know you're sticking to, so that in order to, when you stick to that process, You make the rules on what best looks like. You make the rules on what better looks like. And that's the key part, is that you're the rule maker. Stop letting other people's rules determine your success or your progress, or your past rules or failures determine what this year or this day's progress is going to look like. Because as long as you define it, and you define it in your favor, you'll find that you can create progress. And that is the ultimate key to happiness. We've spoken about that so many times. So for a week like the two of us have had, and you know, we're really getting, what I look at it as like being caught in the wash, because we're looking for waves. We're looking for huge waves. The bigger the waves, the better. And that those waves for us are not only momentum, but they're also problems. We're problem seekers, and we're solution seekers and providers.
And attractive.
I felt like I was caught in the wash all week last week. My schedule was off. My emotions were all thrown out of whack. I was feeling things that I don't normally, I don't know if I allow myself to feel them, but I don't honor, because I want to be true to my source, but I was forced to feel them. So I was in this internal struggle, mentally, spiritually, and physically, because I then created pain in an area of my body that I know is a weakness. And that's what we do. We manifest things into our life, good and bad. And so through the stress I was going through, and what I was attempting to do to cope with it, which for me is training, I'll just train harder, I'll do this. Well, what I was doing to do that, instead of honoring what I must go through in order to get to the next level of grieving, or not acceptance, but moving forward, I was I was deflecting, right? My avoidance behavior, that's what I call it. My avoidance behavior was training, getting into weights, getting more physically fit in order to not progress mentally and spiritually. And my body said, no, we're not going to do that. Here's some back pain. How do you like that? Let's test your theory. Let's test your rules about pain. And my rules about pain are that I will not feel it, I will not tolerate it no more than 90 seconds. And so what I was doing was, now I've got this thing that's not going away. I don't know what it is. I know it's a source of weakness for me because it does show up there before. And stress will always escape at the weakest point. And what my weakest point had been so common, or what I was tolerating in the past, was an area like my knees. But my body said, okay, you figured your knee pain out. Now let's throw some back pain at you. Let's see how you like that. So I felt like I was just in this wash from Wednesday all the way through until about Saturday. I reconnected spiritually. I reconnected mentally and physically. I was able to release, and in that release, I was able to heal. And so it's a constant reminder, if you're going to better your best, that find a source of release. Because remember, we cannot be in a balanced state if we are withholding or blocking. Everything has to flow, and if the flow is interrupted, there's no way you can better your best. You're going to be stuck, and that stuck creates suffering, and then that suffering tells you that, okay, my current situation is not in alignment with my blueprint. I need to figure this out. And you know, thank God for people like you, for people like the team I have around me, because they didn't let me slip into a place that I may have went based on familiarity. They wouldn't let me go there. And that's key, because we will sacrifice our own goals and dreams for familiarity. And you know, thank God for that. So the system we have set up, Aaron, works. It works for us to experience long-term success, progress, and happiness, and short-term discomfort. And it does it at a very low-risk, high-reward way, so we know it works. So basically, I was my own guinea pig, and here I am. I'm ready. I survived, and I'm going to have an amazing Monday. It's already started, and I was looking forward to getting back in this live with you.
I love it. I love it. And so, you know, same thing happened with me last week. I had to take the whole week off, you know, from the gym and waking up early, because my body, every time my alarm went off, I just didn't feel my best. And I know that if I would have pushed myself through that, it would have set me back even further. And so what I asked myself is, what is this doing for me? And it was a message. It was a message to know that there's something huge coming and you need to rest up. And because of that, it's allowed me now to have that clarity and that peace, and just understanding that, you know, I'm growing and I'm becoming. And Keith, I started this off with one of the most profound statements that I heard Jim Rohn say, and he talked about growth, right? And he talked about us being the only living beings that don't live to their true potential because we have will, right? We have the choice. Whereas, how tall does a tree grow? Well, it grows as tall as it can possibly crawl. I mean, as tall as it can grow, right? And any animal, anything living being, it pushes itself all the way to the nth degree. And we are also obligated to do that. We are obligated. We have been given the gift of our lives and are giving our gifts of talent and ideas and imagination. And so we need to be able to push through. But like we talk about, Keith, all the time, is your goals must be meaningful and measurable. And so meaningful meaning enough to go through the pain and the struggle of learning what is this doing for me versus what is this doing to me, not taking the victim route. And also measurable, like you said, Keith, where can I measure my progress? Because that's going to be happy. And make got some feedback too. Is understanding, how can I measure my progress so that I can stay happy knowing that I'm moving in the right direction. In the right direction, it's forward, right? So that's what we're talking about here. I hope that you have been, working on, as we've been talking here, working on ways to better your best. Maybe something we said, something was stated, something that was mentioned here. We got a lot of comments in here. Athena, thank you so much for commenting. Lisa, all the way from New Hampshire, thank you so much for joining in on this. This is a live, right? So we want to make sure that we engage with everybody that's on here. And every single day as we do these, this is a way for us to share our ideas, share our thoughts, our feelings, right? And the things that we're going through and be able to learn from you guys as well. And so the other thing, Keith, that I was saying is that I lean on the Lord a lot. I lean on that because I know that there's areas in my life that are yet to come, right? And I know that I can either be comfortable now and settle because that's a choice of mine, or I can also find areas where I can grow and I can squeeze through little cracks of room to make sure that I continue to move forward. And, Keith, for you, how has it been for you and the support system that you have to be able to hold each other accountable to continue to squeeze through those cracks that are allowing us to grow?
Well, Aaron, the thing that I leverage the most, and it's the faith I have in my potential. It's the faith I have in my direction and the continuous areas of affirmation that I receive along the way. So every time I tried to make a left when I should have made a right, I got bounced back. And so every time I tried to back off or take my foot off the gas, I had somebody there putting their foot on it. And that's the key. And really having that support system, that environment, being part of a community and a culture that believes in you, even when you're short on belief. And it happens to all of us. There is always going to come a time when you hit deception so hard, or things feel like they're so tough. You all you want to do is take a breath. And you want to take a breath even though you have breath within you. And you're letting yourself off a little bit easy because you're not using all the breath you have inside you, but you still want to take a breath. And so what you have to realize is, and what I realized was, let me look inside. Let me find my truth and prevent myself from getting stuck in search of justice or in search of all these reasons why or what, and allow myself to be. And I think that's where it was that I finally turned the corner, was when I allowed myself to be, and I saw myself in other people. And I saw myself, and I could share some of my pain or share some of my discomfort or confusion. And that was the key. When I realized I can share it, but in the process of sharing, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm actually allowing myself to heal, letting this energy pass through me. Because I was so against it or unfamiliar with it, because it's not always there in that capacity every day. I was blocking it. I was blocking it, and it was deflecting. It was deflecting something that I needed to go through me. And that happens on every level, mentally, spiritually, physically. It happens with our nutrition. Our bodies are a lot of times can be stuck in a state where we're deflecting nutrition from getting into a cell so that our bodies can grow, because our cells aren't healthy, which it needs it's the very thing it needs the most. It's deflecting. And that's the crazy part. But when you finally let it in and you let it flow through you, then that's the point at which you can then become better than your best. And you can look back on it and say, wow, that's a new benchmark for me. That's a new marker, so that I can say, you remember that time, and not only for me to go through it again and experience it, because I wish nobody to go through what we went through, but in order to help somebody else get through what they may be struggling through. And it gives you that realization of the reminder of, hey, you know what? Is this flowing through me, or deflecting off of me? And when you can look for that flow, then you know.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. I love that, Keith. And one of the things here that I just saw Lisa mention is being vulnerable. And the first thing that comes to mind is a crab, right? And so as they change their shell, there's a point of time as they're growing where they're the most vulnerable in their life. And a lot of times we can harden ourselves. And I'm thinking about this where I have, surrounded my feelings with a very hard shell, right? Because I don't want to break, and I feel like I'm at that point where I'm going to break, and I realize that my shell has now grown too small, and I need to become vulnerable so I can grow and grow another shell, right? And the only way I'm going to do that is if I let whatever's holding me back now, whichever's hardening me now, to allow me to get out of that and support, my support group, as you mentioned, surround me and protect me, right, as I'm going through that growth period, so that I don't get injured. Right? It may be painful, but I won't get injured to the point that it will set me back. I will stay surrounded, and I'll stay loved, and I'll stay encouraged. And so if you're listening to this and you feel that, you may be coming up to a point where you're starting to find that you're finding that you're hardened, right? And your pride and your ego and all those things are holding you back from becoming better than your best, or whatever you thought your best was. Let it be known that we all have been to that point where now we need to become a little more vulnerable. So thank you for that, Lisa, because that really helps me to realize, this message today that we're delivering is that it's okay to let go of that shell for a little while you grow a new one that's going to help you to grow into bettering the best shell you thought you had. Now you're going to grow into an even bigger one, so that you can go out there and be more valuable. Right? That's the other value. The other B there is the valuable. So being vulnerable to become more valuable to not only you, but also the impact that you're going to make. The video I made this morning, as I was flipping through some of the most wealthiest people in the world, all of those people, at least 80% of them, inherited their wealth, because someone before them went forward through all of that. And, obviously those people that inherited what they got, they're going to go through some pain. But it's never going to be the amount of pain that the person that started it went through. It's going to be an additional pain, right? It's going to be a continuation of. And so as we become more vulnerable and we grow into our greatness and we grow into what we've been designed to do, what are we leaving behind for others to take on, right? I mean, just like a hermit crab, right? As it leaves one shell, it may pick up another that one left off that is bigger than the one that they were living in before. And so it all kind of translates into us being there for others and growing, so that others also can grow, right? And not being comfortable, because you don't know who you're impacted on the back end of it, because you didn't decide to grow, because you decided to be comfortable. Now all of a sudden, the person that needs your shell doesn't have your shell. And now it just trickles down, because now they can't grow, and so on and so forth. And so as you start thinking about being inheritable, right? As you start to be vulnerable and growing into your value, Keith and I just want to remind you that becoming and bettering your best is a choice. It's a choice of willing to go through the pain and whatever it takes. Sorry about that, guys. Be willing to go through the pain that it's going to take for you to better your best, and also being measurable so that you can teach one. And this is something that has been very, very apparent to me over the last few weeks, as I've been working with people and encouraging people to ask themselves a question: what do I want in life? And is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to it, or is it slowing it down for me? Because we do realize that every day is cherished and very blessed. And whether we not decide to step into it, it's up to us to decide, right? Do we want to better our best? And so teaching what you went through is probably the most valuable part of living, right? Your experiences are now being able to be taught, and to teach another one to be able to do the same thing. I was sharing that with a friend of mine about what we've been talking about in regards to growing and feeling uncomfortable, and people putting you judgment zones, and really putting that box around you where you say, I'm so uncomfortable, I can't live in this shell any longer. And I realize it's painful being here, and I know that I need to get out of this shell. And so, teaching and believing, just like you had said, Keith, are two of the biggest pieces of being able to slip through those cracks, to find those areas of growth where you can go ahead and better your best, and go ahead and grow to be the best you possible.
That's the message for the day, and that identification. So what were you saying? Vision, vulnerability, and value, right? As those 3 V's that we look for every day. And we want to make sure that we thank all of our live viewers today. Thanks for the comments, the loves, the likes. Continue to comment on this post as you're able to listen to it. Let it sink in a little more. I know there are people out there that listen to it multiple times to make sure that they really get a message, or they jumped on the live late and they want to go back. It will be posted in a few minutes once we close this out. And for the hundreds of thousands of people that will watch this worldwide, we encourage you too to get out, better your best, have that vision, that vulnerability to improve and increase your value in life and to others in your environment. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same place, same time, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Deyo.
Let's go, people.